Welcome everybody to week 4, day 2. Not great test performance on the valid, invalid, and sound quiz. There's one of each, which you should not rely on, by the way. Like sometimes I'll do like just 3 sound ones or 3 invalid ones. Can you hear me? Testing. All right. Okay. So let's go through this. Is this argument valid? And when I say valid, it means valid but not sound, because sound is inclusive of valid. So, valid but not sound, invalid, or sound. Premise 1, all mammals have hair. Premise 2, you are a mammal. Conclusion, you have hair. This is a sound argument. It's a sound argument because the logic is correct. All X have Y. You are X, therefore you have Y. This is a valid form of argumentation. And after you evaluate the form, you then evaluate the premises. Is it true that mammals have hair? And I know some people would try and argue about that, like, oh, what if you shave your cat or something? And so I give it to you. I said, no, all animals have hair, right? Like, so not all animals, all mammals have hair, right? And so the only premise that you could disagree with me on is premise 2, you are a mammal. So for the 48 people who've said this is valid but not sound, you are arguing that you are not a mammal. And so if you have proof that you are a lizard person or something, please send it to me and I will give you the point on the quiz. If you can give me proof that you are not a mammal, I will very happily give you the point on this quiz, because that's what the valid one means. For invalid, like I could almost like see it more, like maybe you don't understand the form or something. But for valid but not sound, you're arguing that you are not a mammal, because I've given you premise 1 is true. So this is what you're telling me. Okay, Mark Zuckerberg, yeah, fair enough. Okay, so okay. Argument 2. Is this argument valid, invalid, or sound? If an integer is negative, the absolute value is equal to -1 times the integer. Premise 2, if an integer is non-negative, the absolute value equals it. Conclusion, the absolute value of an integer must always be greater than the integer. And this is invalid. Why is it invalid? What is the flaw in reasoning here? Right? In this case, the absolute value is higher than the original value, right? So what is the flaw in the reasoning? Why is this argument invalid? Why does the conclusion not follow from the premises? And that's what invalid means. Like, that's like, if you want to talk about validity, like what validity really means, it means that the conclusion necessarily follows from the premises. If the premises are true, the conclusion must absolutely be true as a result. And in this case, the absolute value of a positive integer isn't greater than, it's equal to. That's correct. So when you compare things, there's 3 results actually. There's less than, equal to, or greater than. And with premise 2, you get an equal to, not a greater than. And so the statement that it must always be greater than is wrong. This is an invalid argument. For those of you that said it's sound, like I can kind of see that, because like you look at this, you're like, both of these premises are true, right? That it's true that the, -5 turns into 5. It's true that 5 turns into 5. The premises are true, therefore it must be sound. And that's the same trick, the same trap, really, not a trick. You're tricking yourself. But it's a trap that you fall into when you're doing these things, where you look at the premises first. Like, are the premises true? And you're like, that's true, and that's true. It's sound. No, don't do that. Don't do that. You will be given lots of these questions, by the way, on valid, invalid, and sound, on quizzes, on both of your midterms, and on the final. So you need to hammer this point into you, because it doesn't come naturally, as you can see with our 46% average on a 1 out of 3 multiple choice test. Okay. Premise 1, you are what you eat. Premise 2, I've eaten a chicken. Conclusion, I'm a chicken. This is a valid but not sound argument. Now, a lot of you would say invalid because, like, you look at the conclusion, it's like, oh, okay, well, it concluded something ridiculous. therefore it's invalid. Okay. The problem is, just because you get a ridiculous answer doesn't mean it's invalid. You have to understand, again, what valid and invalid mean. And so valid means if both of these premises are true, then the conclusion must be true. So if it is true, you are what you eat, and I've eaten a chicken, then I'm a chicken. 100%. Okay? This is a valid argument. Valid doesn't mean it's a good argument. It just means the logic works. Okay? So valid, a valid but not sound argument, which is what this is short for. This is valid but not sound. Okay? And, maybe, I could have typed out valid and sound, valid but not sound. It's a bit redundant because every sound argument is valid, and so obviously that is valid, not sound. But anyhow, so it's just me being lazy mostly. So this is a valid argument. If X, then Y. X is true, Y is true. Therefore Y is true, and it's a valid argument. Are the premises true? No. Premise 1 is not true. If you eat a horse, you do not turn into a horse. If you eat a panda, you do not turn into a panda. You only turn into a panda if you fall into a hot springs in China and it's inhabited by the ghost of a panda bear or something like that. The Ranma 1/2 joke for those of you that didn't get the reference there. Okay, so week 4 Zybooks is on sections 1.2 and 1.3. Make sure you get those done. I think the deadline for that is Thursday at midnight. All right, so today's lecture is on validity, more validity, specifically on implications. Okay, so an implication is something called a conditional. We talked about this, I think, the second week when we were talking about truth tables. So let's say I program a sentry gun with the following rules. If a zombie walks in front of me, shoot it. If a ghost walks in front of me, shoot it. I don't know if shooting a ghost would do anything, but you can try at least. I don't know. Maybe use silver bullets or magic bullets. I don't know. If Bill walks in front of me, don't shoot it. Okay, so I've programmed these 3 things into my sentry gun. Now, what happens? You guys tell me. If a zombie walks in front, what does the sentry gun do? What do you guys think? Pew pew. Very good. It does shoot. Yep. What happens if Bill walks in front? What happens if Bill walks in front of the sentry gun? It doesn't shoot. Good. No shoot. Very good. No pew pew. Very good. Now, what if a ghost walks in front? It shoots. Okay. So what if Mason Twanta, the first president of the ACM club at Clovis Community College, what if Mason Twanta walks in front of the sentry gun? Does it shoot or not? Right, very good. It doesn't shoot. Because when the way a conditional works is you've got something called the antecedent, and then you got something called the consequent. And so the way that a conditional works is if the antecedent is true, then it does the consequent. And so with Mason Twanta, none of these antecedents are true, and so it just sits there and does nothing. Okay, it's not programmed to do something by default. Okay, so the antecedent is the first part of a conditional. If you clean your room, then the consequent. If you clean your room, this is like something I might tell my daughter. If you clean your room, this is a very cheap way of getting to Disneyland, by the way. I don't think I would actually say this, but for the sake of argument. If you clean your room, then I will take you to Disneyland. Okay? So the antecedent is if you clean your room, and the consequent is I will take you to Disneyland. So, if she cleans her room, and I take her to Disneyland, did I tell the truth? Or did I lie to her deceitfully, with treachery and malice aforethought? If she cleans her room, like this is, I promise her this, right? Like, let's say, I've promised her if you clean your room, I'll take you to Disneyland. She's like, done. She runs upstairs, she cleans her room. I take her to Disneyland. Did I keep my word? Did I promise? Correctly. Yes, I told the truth. All right. What if she cleans her room and I don't take her? I'm like, psych. Kind of like my grandfather when I was like a young kid, like 4 or something. My cousin graduated from high school and he took her to France. And then when he came back, we saw a slideshow in his house. I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. Like the French countryside really is gorgeous. And he's like, kid, when you graduate from high school, if you graduate from high school, I'll take you to France. And I remembered that. And then 14 years later, when I graduated from high school, I was like, all right, Grandpa, let's go to France. He's like, I don't remember saying that. I was like, betrayal, top 10 anime betrayals. So, yeah, if she cleans her room and I don't take her to Disneyland, then I lied to her. That would be a false statement. Okay, so what if she doesn't clean her room and I take her to Disneyland? Did I lie to her? Deceit of the century, I know, right? What do you guys think? She doesn't clean her room, but I take her to Disneyland anyway. Did I lie? All I said was that if you clean your room, I'll take you to Disneyland. What if she like detailed my car and I took her to Disneyland for that? I didn't say anything about what would happen if she didn't clean her room. Now, this is an important point though, because like we have our human brain, right? And so when your parents say, if you don't clean your room, you're going to get in trouble, and you do clean your room, you're like, okay, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm going to clean my room. And then you get in trouble anyway. You're like, but wait, you told me, if I don't clean my room, I'll get in trouble. And they're like, yeah, but I never said what would happen if you do clean your room. They're like, logic, no. Right. So I said if she cleans a room and she didn't, then I will take her to Disneyland. Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, what if she earned honor roll and I took her to Disneyland because she earned honor roll? I never said there could be other ways of taking her to Disneyland, right? I could take her to Disneyland because of honor roll, because she detailed my car, she repainted the house, something like that. So it's not gaslighting. It is only a lie if I promise her, if you clean your room, I'll take you to Disneyland. She cleans her room and I don't. That is the only way for this to be a lie. And this is the truth table for an implication. So implications are usually drawn using an arrow. If X, then Y. If she cleans a room is X, the antecedent is X, the consequent is Y. I take her to Disneyland. If she cleans a room, I take her to Disneyland. If I do that, then I did not lie to her. I was telling the truth. If, however, she cleans a room and I don't take her, then I was lying to her. If she doesn't clean a room, I have not said anything about what happens if she doesn't clean a room. If I take her, if I don't take her, I didn't lie, right? All I just said is, all I said is if you clean your room, like I didn't lie to her otherwise. Okay? So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna study the four possibilities for argument forms when it comes to implications. And these things are all very similar. They're very close to each other. Most students will get them confused at one point or another. So we're going to take our time on it. You're going to have a quiz today on the subject. The quiz is already up. It's going to be on the midterm. There's usually about 8 midterm questions on this. It's on midterm 1. It's on midterm 2. It's on the final. You must be able to recognize these 4 argument forms, 2 of which are valid, 2 of which are invalid. So the 2 valid ones are called Modus Ponens and Modus Tollens. I've sometimes heard people call it Modus Tollens. then there are two versions that are invalid. They're fallacious. Fallacious means it's an invalid. It's a formal fallacy. It's an invalid argument. And there's two fallacious forms, and they look very similar to each other. Okay? And so what I recommend to you all is actually take these 4 slides that I have right here and print them out, tattoo them to your skin. Nah, maybe not. That might be a little bit too much. But like make a little cheat sheet, and when you get an argument, just replace words like the Bulldogs beating UCLA, being happy. Replace these things with like X. If X, then I will be happy. So we replace I will be happy with Y. If X, then Y. Premise 2, the Bulldogs beat UCLA. X is true. Okay, cool. Therefore, I am happy. And when you look at the argument stripped down just to the variables like that, it reveals the form of the argument a lot better. Our human brains can be distracted by words, right? And we use like our common sense knowledge of the world oftentimes to fool us. We actually make mistakes a lot. And so a lot of times it's actually easier, even though this looks like math and complicated, a lot of times it's a lot easier to be able to identify these 4 forms if you simply strip out all of the words and just put an X implies Y. If X, then Y. X is true, therefore Y is true. Okay? If you tattoo it, you get X written. No. My goodness. Okay. So let's go through this. If the Bulldogs beat UCLA, I will be happy. Premise 2, the Bulldogs beat UCLA. Conclusion, I am happy. This is valid. So do you guys see this? Like, if premise 1 and premise 2 are both true, the conclusion must be true. That's what valid means. Valid means the conclusion is necessarily true. It must be true. It must absolutely be true if both of the premises are true. Do you guys see that? If X then Y, X is true, therefore Y is true. This is a straight deductive argument. It's called Modus Ponens. And it's probably the easiest of the 4 to understand. You guys with me on this? X is the antecedent. Y is the consequent. Not too bad, not too bad. Yeah. And so we'll call this like MP for short. A lot of the quiz questions that I come up with are like, identify the form of this argument. Is it modus ponens? Is it modus tollens? Affirming the consequent, denying the antecedent. Okay. This is the easy one. If I finish my work, I'll reward myself. I finished my work, therefore I rewarded myself. Boom. Great MP argument. Candy melter. Or Jeanette. Okay. Now, this one's very similar, but it's fallacious. Now, see if you can tell the difference here. If the Bulldogs beat UCLA, I will be happy. You see me on the street the next day, and I'm happy. And you're like, oh, the Bulldogs must have beat UCLA. What's the problem with this argument? This is fallacious. X implies Y. Y is true, therefore X. You see me on the street of Pasadena the next day. I'm walking around, big smile on my face. And from this, you falsely conclude the Bulldogs beat UCLA the night before. I could be happy for another reason. Yeah, very good. I mean, it's on the slide right there. Yeah, but that's exactly right? Like maybe I just had a great meal, at Full House or whatever. Not the TV show, the restaurant in Pasadena, which I go to a lot. Arcadia. It's kind of on the boundary of the two. Yeah. Yeah. Like, or maybe I won the lottery, or maybe, I just found out that, somebody had their cancer cured or something, right? Like there's a lot of reasons why I could be happy. All you knew from premise 1 was if the Bulldogs win, I'll be happy, but just because you see me being happy doesn't mean the Bulldogs won. It's like what we talked about. Dogs could have been lost. We found $100 on the floor. Yeah. It's like we talked about last time with the umbrella, right? Like if I say if it snows, I'm going to bring an umbrella to school, and you see me with an umbrella at school, affirming the consequent would be saying, well, it must be snowing outside in Fresno, and that's obviously wrong, right? I mean, the premise 1 could very well be true. If it snows, I might absolutely bring my umbrella, and premise 2 might absolutely be true. You see me with an umbrella. But the conclusion that it is snowing just because you see me with an umbrella is wrong. This is a fallacious inference. It is affirming the consequent fallacy. I could have an umbrella because it's raining, or because I'm cosplaying Mary Poppins, or Guardians of the Galaxy 2, or it could be sunny, right? There's a lot of reasons why I could be happy. There's a lot of reasons why I could have an umbrella on campus. Okay. Bulldog's lost, but I bet the over and hit it. Nice. Okay. Okay. Give it up some updates there. All right. So if it rains, I will take my umbrella to school. Premise 2, I did not take my umbrella to school. Conclusion, it is not raining. Now, this one is the one that gets students a lot. Okay? And let's run through the logic a little bit. So if I tell you 100% of the time, every single day that it rains, I will bring my umbrella to school. And you see me at school that day, and you see me without my umbrella, I didn't take it. You can tell. You actually can know that it's not raining outside. And the reason you can know this is because if it was raining, I would guaranteed have my umbrella with me, and you don't see it. So it's not raining. Because if it was raining, I would have it, and I don't. So it's not. Okay? And so this is hard on students because it's got like 2 negatives in there. If you've ever done like a proof by contradiction or something like that, or a contrapositive or something like that, and in other circumstances, maybe this would make sense to you. But basically, premise 1 is a guarantee, right? If it's raining, it is guaranteed I have my umbrella. And so if I don't have my umbrella, you know that this is not true. It can't be true. Because if it was true, I would have it. I don't. So it is not raining. Okay? So what I'd like for you guys to do now, if X then Y, not X, therefore not Y. This is Modus Tollens, MT for short. What I'd like for you to do now is to take a moment and write your own Modus Tollens argument on Discord. And if it's like the idiom class, about half of those turned out to be fallacies instead. So I'm going to pause the stream here for a second and give you a second to write your own version of Modus Tollens. Don't just copy me. Don't copy other people on chat. Just come up with your own. Okay, I'm going to pause the recording now for a second. All right, let's take a look. If class starts, I will join. Class started, so I joined. So Ishmael, that was a Modus Ponens argument. If class starts, I will join. Class started, I will join. That's Modus Ponens, not Modus Tollens. Candy Melter, if you like cookies, you must have tried Oreos. You have not tried Oreos, therefore you don't like cookies. That is a correct Modus Tollens argument. Gavin, I don't see the rest of your argument there. Okay, there we go. If I'm sick, then I will take meds. I didn't take meds, therefore I'm not sick. That is correct. That is Modus Tollens. If Shrek 5 comes out, I'll paint myself green. I did not paint myself green, therefore Shrek 5 did not come out is correct. If I get money, I will spend it. Alva, I don't see the rest of your argument. So Alva, you have premise 1, but not the rest of it. Robbie Garcia, if gas prices go up tomorrow, I'll get gas the day before. I don't see the rest of Robbie's as well. Okay, Christian, if I have to drive my sister to school, I get gas. I didn't get gas, therefore I didn't have to take my sister to school. That is correct. Pizza's good. Everyone needs pizza. I didn't eat pizza. ISIS, that is not a Modus Tollens argument. Levi, if there is class, I will wake up on time. I did not wake up on time, therefore there was no class. That is good. And I wish it was sound as well. I wish my students would wake up on time, but if I'm thirsty, I'll buy a Starbucks. I bought Dutch Bros, therefore I am not thirsty. So that's close, Laura. If I'm thirsty, I'll buy a Starbucks. I bought Dutch Bros, so I'm not thirsty. But that is not correct. That is not a Modus Tollens argument. What it would have to be is, if I'm thirsty, I will buy Starbucks. I did not buy Starbucks, therefore I was not thirsty. Is the right thing. Buying Dutch Bros does not mean that you did not buy Starbucks, right? It sounds close, like, I bought Dutch Bros. Sounds like I didn't buy Starbucks, but technically you could go to both. and just be very wired for the rest of the day, right? If I'm tired, I'll go to sleep, and then that's just premise one. There's a lot of students that have like a premise, like just premise one. CNT, Evelina. Okay, there we go. We got line 2 coming out down below. Yeah, try and put them all on the same response so I can see them together. I don't like scrolling up and down on this. Sandra, if a number ends with 0, then it's divisible by 5. That's not Modus Tollens argument. PG, if it's over 100 degrees outside, I'll turn on my AC. It is below 100, therefore I won't turn on my AC. So Pete, what you did there is called a denying the antecedent argument. If it's over 100, then I will turn my AC on. It is under 100, it is not over 100, therefore I did not turn my AC on. That is a denying the antecedent fallacy. If it's over 100, I'll turn on the AC. It's not over 100, therefore I did not turn over the AC. After all, you can turn on your AC when it's over 90, right? Nothing's stopping you from that. Okay. If I stink, I'll take a shower. I do not take a shower, therefore I do not stink. I wish that was true also. If my car has no gas, I will not drive. My car has no gas, so I do not drive. So Seth, that is a modus ponens argument. If I have no gas, I don't drive. I have no gas, therefore I didn't drive. That is a direct deduction. It is a modus ponens argument. Jess Karen, if you eat, you'll go to the bathroom. You do not go to the bathroom, so do you not eat. There you go. That is modus tollens. In fact, if I do sandwich, I'll be happy. I do not eat a sandwich, therefore I am not happy. So Joanna, that is a denying the antecedent fallacy. If I eat a sandwich, I will be happy. I did not eat a sandwich, therefore I am not happy. That is a denying the antecedent fallacy. After all, I could be happy for other reasons than just eating a sandwich. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, I'll be happy. I don't know, man. The Eagles are getting kind of old these days, Carson. How old are they? They've been active since... Yeah, I don't think these guys are winning the Super Bowl anytime soon. Okay. He's going to be like, I meant the football. Okay. If I drive fast, I will get a ticket. I did not get a ticket, therefore I did not drive fast. Yep. Valid, not sound though. You don't always get a ticket when you drive fast. If I'm hungry, I will go eat. I am not hungry, therefore I will not go eat. So Carson, that is a denying the antecedent fallacy. If I'm hungry, then I will eat. I'm not hungry, therefore I will not eat. X implies Y, not X, therefore not Y. This is a fallacy. After all, you didn't say what would happen if you're not hungry, right? You said if you're hungry, you're going to go eat. You didn't say anything about what would happen if you're not hungry. Like you might just accompany your wife to go eat, which happens. If it rains tomorrow, I will eat watermelon. I ate watermelon, therefore it rained. That is a affirming the consequent fallacy, Noel. So if it rains, I will eat watermelon. I ate watermelon, therefore it rained. It's entirely possible that it didn't rain and you ate watermelon anyway. So that is a... Wait, what happened here? It is a affirming the consequent fallacy. If it rains, I will eat watermelon. I ate watermelon, therefore it rained is a fallacy. The Eagles win the Super Bowl, I'll be happy. I'm happy, therefore the Eagles won. That is also an affirming the consequent fallacy. Carson, if I make the basket, I will get 3 points. I didn't make the basket, therefore I didn't get 3 points. That is a denying the antecedent fallacy. Elijah, if I make the basket, I get 3 points. I did not make the basket, therefore I didn't get 3 points. Is a denying the antecedent fallacy. And there we go. Let's just practice some of these. Okay. So, gas prices. Okay. All right. Let's do some of these here. Okay. So if you get an F in your biology class, I will take it to Disneyland. I'm not sure why I would do this, but there you go. Deliberately throwing a class. I don't know. Don't want my daughter to come off as one of those goody two-shoes students. She needs to earn some street cred with that F. I don't know. Okay, so if you get an F in your bio class, I will take you to Disneyland. You did not get an F in bio, therefore I did not take you to Disneyland. Is this argument valid or invalid? It's obviously not sound because I would not promise to take my daughter to Disneyland if she failed a class. Quite the opposite, really. You're getting Kumon, right? You're getting tutoring from a tutoring school where literally the logo is a sad face, right? Like Like, look, like, that's the logo, right? Like, you're just not gonna have a good time when, like, they can't even, like, have, like, a smiling kid, like, on the logo. You know what I mean? Like, look at that kid's face. Like, he's dying on the inside. He's not happy. Yeah, that kid. Yeah, that's a realistic expression there. This kid also, he's like trying to smile. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Okay, so this is a denying the antecedent fallacy. Very good, Candy Melter. This is invalid. This is invalid because I did not say what would happen if you didn't get an F. Right? Maybe she detailed my car and repainted the house, so I took her to Disneyland anyway. Okay, this is an invalid argument. This is denying the antecedent. Yep. If you see the Buddha, kill the Buddha. You see the Buddha, you kill the Buddha. Valid or invalid? Take it away. We'll look at more photos of Kumon. Yeah, I don't know, man. This kid's... Is he writing on the table? What's going on here? It doesn't look like paper. I mean, it kind of looks like they photoshopped the paper out. There's something weird going on in that place, man. I don't know what to tell you. Something weird. Okay. This is valid. What form of argument is this? Apologies to any of you guys that go to Kumon, but man, like when I was walking past the place, like there's just these photos of kids working, and they just look like they're just in excruciating agony. And I was just like, this is not encouraging me to send my kid to this place. This is Modus Ponens, very good Christian. Okay. And there's an interesting, there's an interesting discussion we could have about this argument because it's a real phrase. If you see the Buddha, kill the Buddha, and from Buddhism, not like from Christianity or something. This is actually a Buddhist phrase, and you can actually have a very interesting conversation about what this means, but not today. Okay. So, if King George, yes, it is Modus Ponens. If King George does not eliminate taxes, we will revolt. So this is, you can imagine the American Revolution. You've got these colonists that are saying, if you don't eliminate taxes, we are going to revolt. And so he's like, all right, fine. And so he repeals the stamp tax. Can we conclude from this that they don't revolt? Is this valid or invalid? Does the conclusion necessarily follow from the premises? The colonists promise that if you don't eliminate taxes, we're going to revolt. He's like, all right, fine, I eliminate the taxes. Can we validly conclude the colonists will not revolt under any circumstances? This is invalid. Very good. It's denying the antecedent, right? Because the colonists might revolt for other reasons, like King George dissolved, local representation and things like that. If you look at the DOI, there's a whole list of grievances, they got, right? He's called together legislative bodies, placed unusual, uncomfortable, and distant. He's dissolved representative houses repeatedly. He refused to allow others to be elected. He obstructed the administration of justice. He's quartering troops, protecting them by mock trial for murders, cutting off trade. Like, there's a lot of reasons why the colonies rebelled, and taxes was one of them. Not the only one, though. Yep. So this is a denying the antecedent fallacy. This one looks very similar. Let's see if this one's valid. Okay. So if King George does not eliminate taxes, we will revolt. We revolted. Was the reason for the revolt he didn't eliminate taxes? Can we conclude that? Can we conclude that the only possible reason why the colonists rebelled was because he kept the stamp tax and the sugar tax? There's a tax for that. Good. Good. Yeah, this is invalid. And it's invalid because there could be other reasons why they revolted. Okay, so this is the previous one here is the denying the antecedent fallacy. This one is the affirming the consequent fallacy. So the consequent is we will revolt. We affirm the consequent. We revolted. This is a fallacy. Okay. If you discover the cure for cancer, you will win the Nobel Prize. So maybe it's not sound, but remember, set aside issues of soundness for later, right? When you first analyze an argument, you're going to analyze it on its form. Does the logic work? Okay. So if X, then Y. If you discover the cure for cancer, you will win the Nobel Prize. Premise 2, you did not win the Nobel Prize. Conclusion, you did not discover the cure for cancer. So if X, then Y. Premise 2, Y is false. Conclusion, X is false. Just because you cured cancer doesn't mean you'll win the prize. Yeah, but like I said, Carson, set aside issues of soundness for now. Like whether or not the premise is actually true comes in phase 2 of the analysis, right? Right now, we're just in phase 1. Is this valid? If X, then Y. Not Y, therefore not X. Is this a valid form of argument? There are other ways to win the Nobel Prize. Yeah, Matthew, you're making the same mistake. We don't care if the premise is true right now. That's phase 2. This is definitely unsound, right? This we're studying the form of the argument. Modus tollens invalid. Modus tollens is a valid form of argumentation. So if both of these premises are true, the conclusion does follow from it. This is a valid argument. It's valid because if you discover the cure for cancer, you will win the Nobel Prize 100% of the time, is premise 1. Premise 2, you do not win it. So if you discover the cure for cancer, you will get the Nobel Prize, and you didn't. All we can conclude from this is that you did not discover the cure for cancer. Because if you had discovered the cure for cancer, you would have gotten the Nobel Prize 100% of the time. You didn't, so you didn't discover the cure for cancer. This is not a sound argument. Don't get distracted by the soundness. Don't get distracted if the premises are true or not. Remember that step 1 is, just assume the premises are true and see if the conclusion must necessarily follow from the premises. If premise 1 and premise 2 are both true, it's valid when the conclusion follows 100% of the time. And in this case, it does. If I can guarantee that you'll get the Nobel Prize if you discover the cure for cancer, and you don't have the Nobel Prize, that 100% of the time means you did not discover the cure for cancer. This is modus tollens. It is a valid form of argumentation. It's modus tollens, not modus ponens, Sandra. So if X, then Y, not Y, therefore not X. It's this one. If you discover cure for cancer, then you will get the Nobel. You didn't get the Nobel, therefore you didn't discover the cure for cancer. If X, then Y, not Y, therefore not X. And that's basically it for today. So, what I recommend that you guys do for every modus tollens is valid. Absolutely. Modus tollens is a valid form of argumentation. The premises, maybe, Jeanette, what you're saying is, must it be sound? There's no guarantee it'll be sound. Like, if it rains, I don't actually usually take my umbrella, right? Like, I usually just put my hood up on my jacket and just walk through the rain. There's no guarantee that a modus tollens argument is sound, right? But what we're looking at is the form, the shape of the argument, right? And what I recommend that you guys do is just switch out if it rains with if X. That's the antecedent, right? Just put an X there. Then I will take my umbrella to school and just switch out. I'll take my umbrella to school with Y. And then for premise 2, not Y. Boop. And then conclusion, not X. Boop. Like that. And then once you've kind of switched things out with just like a symbol for them, then it becomes actually very easy. There's 4 slides here. And 2 of them are fallacious. It's marked right there. Fallacious, fallacy. It's got the fallacy up top. And 2 of them are valid. So modus ponens, modus tollens are valid. Two of them are fallacious. And you should be able to identify the fallacious ones and the valid ones by name on the quizzes. So, are these slides on Canvas? Yes. And bail out. It's on the module section here. You can also get it from the file section. Lecture 4 implications. I highly recommend it because these questions are going to be on your quiz today. They're going to be on midterm 1, midterm 2, your final. And the reason for that is because, as you can see, like, students by default do really badly on it. And so what I do is whenever I give a quiz, I look to see at what percentage of the questions come back correct. Like, this one was not great from Monday, so we're going to be getting more of them. So I will sit there, and that's one of the reasons why I can't give you like a fixed like date for things. Like, a lot of students are like, why don't you know what you're teaching on, March 7th? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like, it depends on how well you guys do. Every semester students are different, and maybe I just don't explain something very well, one semester or something. I haven't had enough coffee yet or something. And so I spend more time on it, right? Like, I adjust my teaching to how well you guys are doing rather than just be like, okay, well, you don't know it, let's move on, which is just a recipe for disaster, like, all right, well, you're all gonna fail, let's just move on. Like, I don't do that. So basically that's why I like doing these daily quizzes. The daily quizzes let me see, percentage wise how well students are doing. Once the answers get up to about 70%, I'm happy, because in this class in particular, a good solid 15% of students never come to class and have no idea what's going on and just get an F. And like, I don't know how to make people come to class. It's online, we have the participation system, but like, if you just ghost, like, I can't really do anything about it. So I don't really demand 100% on the quizzes. Once I see about 70%, then I'm like, okay, students know it pretty well. The students that matter, you guys, people that are watching this, you guys know it now. So for modus tollens, it is only false when the second premise is false. Modus tollens is valid. Modus tollens is an always valid form of argumentation. So if x and y, not y, therefore not x. Now, you might be confused because, like, this could be a positive, right? If this part here is a negative, this part here would be positive, right? It just is the logical opposite of this. So if you discover the cure, like, if you discover the cure for cancer, you will not win the Nobel Prize as premise 1. Then to make this valid modus tollens, you would have to win the Nobel Prize or something like that. I don't know. So you're still super confused on which one. I understand this part really well, but valid and invalid is where I get confused. So valid and invalid has to do entirely with it really comes down to this truth table here, right? So if somebody says, if you give me $5, then I'll clean your car. Okay. Premise 1, if you give me $5, I'll clean your car. You give them $5, they clean your car. Did they tell the truth? Yeah, that would be valid. You pay them $5, they clean your car. Yes, it's valid. Okay. If you don't pay them $5 and they clean your car, like, they didn't lie to you. So there's what factor is going to sound, not sound? I see. Okay. So we're not worried about sound right now. In fact, for all of these word problems that I'm giving you, if you just delete all of the words out and just replace them with like X and Y, that's all that matters. Because for validity, it does not matter if it's raining right now. It does not matter if I actually have my umbrella. It does not matter if you have hair or a lizard person or whatever. Literally none of that matters until you talk about soundness. Okay? So for all of the questions from today, the questions for today on the quiz are all validity. And so for validity, you can literally erase all of the English, right? And just say, X and Y and not Y, not X. Like you just sit there with a pencil and just erase all of the human words and just put an X and Y instead. And then look at this. Look at the cheat sheet. Okay. So for Carson, so if you want to know if it's sound or not, after, like, not for today, but like in general, when you're doing, the table is going to make it super easy. Yeah. Like you just have to like erase all the human, like the human brain isn't good at this. That's why we require critical thinking. Like on a later quiz, when I'm asking if it's sound or not, that's when you evaluate if it is raining right now, if you do have your umbrella right now, things like that. Did the Bulldogs actually beat UCLA, right? So, for example, if I said if the Bulldogs beat UCLA, I'll be happy. The Bulldogs beat UCLA, I'm happy. In order to know if this is sound or not, you actually have to look at the football scores. You know what I mean? Like, this is not, then the real world actually comes in when you're talking about soundness. Soundness is where logic and the real world kind of come together. For validity, it's just pure logic, pure symbol manipulation. Just replace the English words with X and Y and just see if the form is correct. See if the logic works. Yeah. If it's X and not Y, then it's still true. I don't get that part either. If it's X and not Y, then it's still true. So if it is X and not Y, it's not true. No. So if I promise to take you to Disneyland if you clean your room, and you clean your room and I don't take you to Disneyland, that's false. I lied to you. So basically, I don't know. If X, then Y. This is how you test for validity. Just don't even worry about like the Buddha is, you're not seeing the Buddha. Like, don't worry about any of the actual words. Just take an eraser, like just take a pen and just like erase, see the Buddha and put an X there. And kill the Buddha, just erase that, scratch it out, put a Y there. And then when you see the Buddha again, you cross that out, put an X, you kill the Buddha, Y, and then you look at your cheat sheet. If X then Y. Nope, it's not that one. If X then Y, Y, X there. No, not that one. If X and Y, X, Y, that one. Boom. Modus Ponens. Okay. It's just something you need to get practice at. Okay. So that's it for today, guys. We're already over time. Feel free to ask questions, and I'll answer them. And you're also free to message me on Discord anytime, and ask for help. It's a lot easier to reach me on Discord than on Canvas as well. All right. See you guys. Peace.